So some of you might not have any workout equipment at home. No problem. Here's a whole workout that you can do without any extra equipment, just your body weight. So warming up, it can be part of your workout, and that's a dynamic warm-up. That's super important. So I'm going to take you through a little dynamic warm-up, and then we're going to go ahead and move into our workout. So we can start with some squats, hands behind the head. So this is our basic dynamic warm-up. It gets a little bit of every part of the body. So legs are warming up, knees are warming up, glutes are warming up. I have my hands behind my head to keep my chest lifted. I might pause at the top and do some, it's almost like a clamshell with my elbows going in and out, chest and shoulders waking up here. Okay, so I'm going to take my feet wider. I'm going to warm up my inner thighs, moving side to side. So if you just use this first part of the video and take a break during your day to do a dynamic movement, I call it dynamic warm-up, but you can just dynamically move your body to give yourself a little break from sitting at your desk. You'll feel a lot better at the end of the day. All right, so toes are forward, feet are wide, and you're going to tap front, middle, and back. Now you notice my knees are slightly bent. So my hamstrings are stretching, waking up dynamically. Okay, let's do some knee drives. So just straight up and down. And then maybe the knees go up and around. So this is warming up the inside of your hips. The hip joints waking up. Now you could also go the other way. So I might go external, internal, external, internal. And then I can do it on the other side, external and internal and external and internal. And then some, I call them booty kickers. If you're able to catch your foot without creating a big hyperextension in your back, then maybe you catch your foot. Front of the thighs waking up. And go back to some arm movements, so some shoulders, rolling the arms small, each direction. And then some arm swings. And again, this is a great way to just move your body a little bit in the middle of your day. A little bit of every part of your body moving will help you feel better. Like I said, at the end of the day, you'll feel so much better having moved a few times throughout your day. So coming into a lunge stride here. My left foot is forward. I'm placing my right hand on the ground. Left arm reaches up high, and then I tuck around and reach towards my back foot. And I'll do it again a few times. Okay, and then I'm going to start to move towards a straightish front leg and then rebend. And then I move a little bit straight and then rebend. So hip flexors and hamstrings. Then I'm just going to turn around and do the other side. My right foot is forward, left hand down, right hand reaches, and then I slide under and across. And then I reach and slide under and across. And one more time like that, under and across. And then I straighten and I bend, and I straighten and I bend, and I straighten and I bend. Now, if that's not super accessible to me, bringing my hands up onto something might make it a little bit more accessible. Even blocks or something like this, a step. Okay, so some pogo hops. So just a little bit leaving the ground, or maybe you just come onto the balls of the feet. So calves, ankles, feet, waking up. And I'm getting warm, so this is going to get my body more prepared for my workout. Okay, so no equipment, no problem. First exercise we're going to do is a push-up, everybody's favorite. So push-ups on the floor, whether they be a full push-up or on the knees, are great. You also do them on an elevated surface, which I will demonstrate. So we're going to go 45 seconds. So go ahead and start with me. So I'm going to show you modification on the knees. You'll notice my elbows are at a 45-degree angle. That's important, okay? So what I want to make sure I don't do is internally rotate my shoulders. Great way to hurt yourself. We don't want that. So we're going to go maybe a regular push-up. Now if you want to add something, you could add a push-up with a rotation, or a push-up with a Spider-Man knee drive. Okay, you guys keep going. I could do it on an elevated surface. And that's 45 seconds. So I'll rest. So I like to alternate upper and lower body. So we're going to go into a basic squat right now. So toes are basically a little bit wider than my hips, but basically pointed forward. So this is not a sumo squat, although we might do that later. This is just your natural turnout, about a hip width apart. So we're going to go 45 seconds. Perhaps we do just a regular squat. Or you could double pulse it. So we warmed up doing squats. So maybe you add something now that you're more warmed up, like a double pulse. Now, of course, you could add coming under the balls of the feet. That gets the calves involved. You could add a hop. So you could do regular squats, you could double pulse and then jump. If you have anything like a dumbbell or a jug of liquid, a water bottle, anything to weigh you down, you could add that. Go ahead and rest. So I'm going to go back to my upper body now. So if you have something like a step or a chair or a bench or a couch, you can use that, but I'll show you how you can do these on the ground as well. So again, if you have no equipment at all, you can still do this workout. My hands are going to be slightly turned out. My shoulders are rolled back. This is a bench dip, or wherever you do it, a couch dip, a chair dip, a step dip. So triceps working. Shoulders rolled back, 45 seconds. My rear end stays pretty close to the bench or the chair or the couch, so I'm not way out here. My legs are out straighter. That's going to be harder. In here, I'm helping a little bit more with my legs. If I need more resistance, I could put something on my lap. But again, you don't need to have external resistance. You might have just seen, I just did a double pulse. That makes it harder. If you don't have anything to come onto, you don't get out of it, you can still do this exercise. I'm still working my triceps just the same. And I could, again, if I had something heavy, I could lay it on top of my lap. Now, I'm going to go ahead and spin around and show you a single-legged bridge. So again, no added resistance needed. You can make it harder by going slower, by doing more reps, by doing a double pulse. So I'll show you that. So go ahead and lay down. I'm pressing into the heel of the foot that is on the floor. And then the other one, I'll show you your variations, might be straight up. Now this leg can be a little bent, not a problem. So we're actually going to do 45 seconds on each side. If that doesn't feel good in my back or my knee, I cross the ankle over the thigh. And if I need more, the leg goes out. Now, I can hold isometrically in any one of these variations. That's going to give me a different kind of a challenge. I could double pulse. That makes it harder. Double pulsing. If I put my foot on anything unstable, go ahead and rest. It's going to make it harder. Even a pillow is a little bit unstable. Now I'm going to show you this other side with my foot on an elevated surface. So maybe you have a chair, or maybe you have something like this at home. And this just changes the angle. And for some people, they feel this more. So here we go, 45 seconds, up and down. Option to put the ankle over the thigh. That's gonna give you a little more support. So if your back does not like it or your knee does not like it, try this. A little harder, the leg is out. If I had some external resistance here, I could put it on top of my lap. Or I could make it harder by doing a double pulse. Or sometimes just holding isometrically is hard enough, or holding and then maybe moving the leg around. These options will just make it a little more challenging, or putting my foot on an unstable surface like a pillow or even a ball. So if you have a medicine ball, I'm just going to grab one from over here. If you happen to have a medicine ball or any kind of a toy, that's unstable and that's going to make it harder. Okay, so choices, options, all work great. Okay, so that was my lower body. I'm actually going to work into the core a little bit now. So I'm going to be doing something called a dying bug. And I'm going to show you all the variations of a dying or a dead bug. So go ahead and come onto your back. And we'll start with the most basic version where you start with the feet on the floor. I'm going to contract my core by drawing my hip bones and my ribs closer together. So almost no space back here, or whatever space there is now, that stays. We don't want to come into extension at any point during this exercise. So I'm pressing my low back really flat, hip bones and ribs move closer together, and then I might just simply, I'll take my arms up here, alternate my legs, nice and slow. If that's not enough for me, I might bring my knees to 90 degrees, really refocus on that pressing of the low back flat, and then slowly alternate the legs down. No space back here or the same space you started with. Some people have a really big sway in their back and they can't get the back totally flat. You're just really trying to press as far as you can in that direction so there's little to no space back there. Now if that's still too easy for me, I can go out with the leg, but I'm going to always recheck and make sure I'm not creating space behind my low back. Now, if all of that seems too easy, I could start to either take one or both arms back behind me. Every time I restart, I really refocus on that press down. So maybe I take, and I suggest sometimes both arms because it can get confusing if you do one, like which one goes, which one stays. So try both, or don't worry about which one's supposed to go if you just do one. Just alternate them. But that's almost like rubbing your belly and patting your head, so it can get confusing. So again, if it's not enough, I might take the leg more out. And of course, I could add weight to this if I had it, but really check in with the low back. Make sure you're not allowing a bunch of space to come behind your lower back. Again, I'm adding the weight, but it's not necessary. These are hard even without any weight, honestly. Awesome work. Now I'm going to show you one more way that you can work your core while laying on your back like this. So we're going to go ahead and, again, re-press the low back down, re-engage the core. I'm going to press on my right thigh, and my thigh is going to press back into me. I'm going to keep that just like that. This isn't going to move. And then I'm going to extend and rebend the opposite leg, or it can tap down. So this is just another version of a dying bug. And I might use my arm, opposite arm and leg. Oh, this is really intense. So switch sides. So left hand on left thigh, I'm pressing into my hand, my thigh is pressing back, and I'm gonna go ahead and engage this core and start to work the other side. The leg can come out, it can come down. Really intense. Recheck with your low back over and over again. Okay, rest. Woo, you'll be surprised at how challenging those are. Okay, so coming back to some lower body work, alternating back lunges. So this is just a step back and we alternate legs. And we'll go 45 seconds on these. So alternate your legs. Hands behind the head will actually make it a little bit more challenging cardiovascularly. Now I could add a rotation. So I'll rotate over the front leg and come back, and rotate over the front leg and come back. 15 more seconds. And rest. Excellent work. Okay, so upper body again. So we did the dips earlier where we were bending the elbows and we're facing backwards. We could also do a push-up with a narrow grip. So that gets back to these triceps again. And again, they can be done on the floor. They can be done on the knees on the floor. They can be done on an elevated surface. So we'll go ahead and give that a try. So it's 45 seconds. So I'm still keeping that same external rotation of my shoulder. So not rolling forward. And I can keep my elbows pretty close to my sides. They do not have to squeeze completely in. Sometimes when you squeeze in, it makes the shoulder roll forward. So we're defeating the purpose of what we're going for. Okay, so you guys keep going. I'm going to show you what it looks like on an elevated surface. So my elbows are in. They do not have to squeeze into my sides. And rest. So what I mean by that is when you squeeze your elbows in, more often than not, this is what happens with the shoulder. These shoulders need to stay back to keep them in a safe position. Okay, so even in our yoga classes with chaturanga, I personally never cue squeeze your elbows in because when you do that, the shoulders almost always roll forward. I just say elbows straight back. And that's going to get the triceps. Okay? So the next thing we have is a single-legged deadlift. Now these can be done alternating sides or one side at a time. Today I'm going to go ahead and start demonstrating just one side at a time, and we'll do 45 seconds on each side. And then I'll show you what it would look like if you wanted to do alternating sides. So we've got 45 seconds. I'm squaring my hips and I'm reaching towards the ground. So my opposite hand reaches forward. You'll notice I'm in no way rounding my spine. So I'm not actually trying to reach the ground. I'm just reaching in that direction. If I have trouble balancing, I can hold on to something. Here's my pretend wall over here. So I could hold on to a wall. If I had something to hold on to, even a jug of liquid, I could add that in. So I could certainly do this. I think we all probably have something at home that we could use like this. All right, let's switch sides. But if you're in a hotel room and you don't have anything, you know you can still get a great workout in without any added equipment. Good. Again, I'm just going to set this down. And so maybe you use your jug of liquid or something as something to reach for. But again, I'm not going to round my spine to get that. I'm just going to reach in the direction of what's down there. My standing leg stays a little bit bent. That's important. And rest. That's the back of the leg working, so hamstrings working. Okay, so the next one, I really recommend you find a nice cushioned surface. So I'm going to fold up my mat so I have plenty of cushion for my knees. So if this one doesn't work for you because your knees don't like it, then maybe you just skip this one. So you start off on your knees, and I'll start the timer here. So I'm starting off on my knees, and then I'm coming up, and then I'm coming back to my knees. So I'm leading with my right side, and then halfway through, I'll start leading with my left side. So I'm kneeling down, and I'm stepping up. If I had weight, I could hold on to it. Other side, leading down left knee, and we have left foot. So again, if your knees do not like this, or you don't have something to put your knees on to cushion your knees, I don't really recommend it. But if your knees are happy with it, it's a good one. It even gets your heart rate up. I'm using my little watch here, and I'm in the green zone. Okay, so the next one, similar thing. Your knees may or may not like it, and if they don't, you can skip it or just do another set of one of the other exercises. I'm going to go ahead and turn this sideways. So, front of the thighs, if you had extra weight to hold on to, kettlebell, dumbbell, jug of liquid, that works. If you don't, that's okay too. So I'm going to tuck my toes under, and then with a strong core, I'm going to lean back and then come up. So I'm leaning back, and I want you to see that I'm keeping neutral curves in my spine, but I am pulling my tummy in tight. So my thighs are working really hard here. Now, if I wanted to make it harder, I could just stay back here and pulse it out for a couple and then come back up. But if that doesn't feel okay, just really recheck with your knees. Thighs firing up. And rest. Good work. Okay, so I'm actually going to leave this just like it is. So I have a little more cushion for my rear end for these next exercises. So this is back to the core. And we're going to be doing a bit of a trunk rotation and some variations on it. Now, if you had, again, some added weight, you'll hold on to it here. If you don't, these actually work just fine with no added resistance. So you're going to rotate. So I'm leaning back, but only to the point where I feel it in my core, not in my low back. And then if I'm doing these and I start to feel my low back, I'll just rest for a second and then come back down so that I can rest my back and be ready to go again. So you'll notice I'm not going way over here. It's not a big range of motion. It's controlled, small movement. I'm really drawing my core in super, super tight. And again, I'm only leaning back to the point where I feel it in my core. If you need to sit more upright, fine. If you want to come down lower, fine. As long as it's in your core, not starting to feel in your back. Rest. Awesome. So that's a little bit of a trunk rotation, or some people call them Russian twists. The next one is a V up for your core. Now there's a version of a V raise that we do with dumbbells for the shoulders. This is a V up with the body for the core. So you might take your hands back behind you just like this, and then knees come in. As my legs go out, so I kind of become a V, my elbows bend, and I come in and out. Check in again with your lower back. So maybe you don't straighten out the legs very much at all. Or maybe you straighten them out a lot. Now, maybe you don't even need your hands, and that's fine too. Now, if your hip flexors get sore, maybe cross the ankle over the thigh for half the time, and then switch halfway through, so you're not having to work both hip flexors the whole time. 5 seconds, these are hard, and you rest. Good job. Okay, so again, coming back up, and I'm going to show you a side lunge. So I'm showing you a bunch of exercises you can do. Now you could use this as your workout, and that could be it. Maybe you just do one of every exercise. That should be plenty for many of you. You could start the video over and repeat all of them again, maybe even including the dynamic warm-up. And you could do that as many times as you'd like. But mostly I just want you to see you don't need any added weight. You can do a body weight only workout and get a great workout. So we have side lunges. So I'm going to start with my feet together and then step side to side. Now if my knees don't like this, I might just move side to side like this. And again, option to add weight if you had it. Option to do some movements with the arms to get the heart rate up a little more. And I mentioned earlier something about a sumo squat. So you could do sumo squats instead if your knees don't like those side lunges. Getting the inner thighs, that's the point of this exercise, whether you're doing the side lunge or the sumo squat. Now you could double pulse any of this, including the side lunge. Okay, that's our time, 45 seconds. Awesome work. So we're going to come back down onto the floor and work the upper back and trapezius muscles now. So go ahead and lay down. And you're going to be making like a cactus with your arms. So we'll start there. Now your forehead is close to the ground, but it doesn't have to be touching. But we're not cranking it up off the ground. So arms lift up and down. So this is one variation. You can try that on. Hands behind the head is another variation. And then one more variation is the arms extended forward. Now you'll notice my body is not moving because I'm not trying to turn this into a back extension exercise. This really should be isolating more of my trapezius and the back of my shoulders. Rest. Very good. So that was the back of the shoulders and the trapezius working. All right, so I'm going to show you one that will include your lower back intentionally, and that's just your basic back extension. So I'll show you your options for that one as well. So we'll start off arms down alongside the body. So lifting the upper body up now, keeping neutral curves in my neck. So I'm not going to crank on my neck and I'm not going to leave it dangling. Okay? If I need more assistance, I could bring my hands alongside my body and assist. And you'll notice it's very slow. Now we could go back to this cactus arm position. And then I'm getting lower back, middle back, and that upper back at the same time. Or I could reach my arms forward as well. And then one last option is to also lift the legs. And that could be in any of these positions. Just check in. There should be no pinching in the back. And rest. Good. So coming onto your hands and your knees, you're doing you can move through this cat-cow just to stretch that out because we just worked the back of it. But then eventually neutral curves in the spine. And we'll be reaching opposite arm and leg out. We're going to hover the hand and knee first though. So pull the belly in, right hand lifts an inch, left knee lifts 1 inch. So we're going to stay here for about 20 seconds, and then we'll reach the arm out. So just hovering the knee an inch, hovering the hand an inch, and then we're going to reach out. Now we might just stay here, or we might go through a range of motion with the arm and the knee. And it's slow. And rest. And we'll go to the other side. Left hand, right knee, core super tight. We're trying to stay as still as possible. Belly draws in. So if I'm breathing deep, it's into my rib cage now. All right, so reach opposite arm and leg. We can stay right there, or we can move back and forth. Hand hovers, knee hovers, arm reaches, leg reaches. 10 more seconds. And rest. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and do a little bit more core work, then we're gonna go through some stretching, and that'll be the end. Now again, you have the choice of repeating all of these exercises 1 or 2 more times, or maybe just go through them once. You're getting a full body workout just by going through them once. All right, and then maybe you go for a walk or a little jog. Okay, so side plank. So side plank, modified version on the forearm and on the knees. So we'll go ahead and lift up here. So everything is stacked, and you guys keep holding, but I have an external rotation of this shoulder again to keep it safe. That's important. So my arm is not here, it's here. I could add a hip lift here. I could add a rotation, small rotation. If that's not enough, I could come up here onto my feet, and I'm staggering my feet. I could also stack my feet. That's the most challenging version on the floor. I could lift my leg up and down. And all of this could be done on an elevated surface, of course, if you had one to work with. And sometimes that just works better. This could be done on the knees as well. Okay, let's do the other side. So I'll take you through those options again. Externally rotating my arm. Here we go, lifting up in my side plank on the knees. Top leg could extend as well. And if I was doing that, I might do some of these leg lifts, or a hip lift, or a rotation, or I might come into the full side plank, add a rotation, add a hip lift, stack my feet, add a leg lift. So many options. And of course, we have the option of the elevated surface as well. So if you need that, you take that. Drawing in, stacking everything on top of each other. So I'm not sticking my butt out. I'm not rotating to hold myself up. Again, maybe a small rotation to give yourself a challenge, but you're not going to hold in a rotated position. Rest. Excellent work. So the last one we're going to do is a basic plank now. So on the forearms, if your elbows are okay with it, this can also be done on the hands if you're, sometimes the elbows are very sensitive, so they can be done on the hands as well. So I'll demonstrate both. So on the forearms, perhaps, hip bone and rib cage drawing closer together, basic plank. I could do some tap outs or some alternating knees, or drop the knees, one or both, just to make it challenging. Now, I'm driving my elbows back towards my body to really fire up the core. If it's too much, I can come onto my knees, no problem. Like I mentioned earlier, if my elbows are super sensitive, I might come onto my hands, and I could do those same things with my body to give myself a challenge. And I'm driving now the heel of my hand towards my body to really engage the core. Okay, rest. Excellent. So if you're going to repeat the exercises, go ahead and bring it back to your start point for the exercises. I'm going to take you through a few stretches now. So go ahead and come to lie down on your back, and we'll stretch the hamstrings. So if you have a strap, you might hook your foot. If you're able, you can catch the hamstring with your hands or your calf or even your ankle. So you go where you can go. Sometimes a belt or a towel around your foot is beneficial if it's difficult to grab any part of your leg. Take some deep breaths. And let's do the other side. Again, you can grab the hamstring, the calf, the ankle, or hook your foot with a strap or a towel or a jump rope or a belt or whatever you have. Okay, and then you'll come to sit and bring the soles of your feet together. Okay, or this could also be done in a reclined position. So sometimes one or the other will feel better. So here's me sitting upright, and then here's me doing it on my back. So you want to do the one that you feel the inner thighs the most, but your knees and your hips are happy. Okay, if you need some support, maybe a pillow underneath your thighs, and that would be true whether you're sitting or you're laying down. So either way, maybe a little support underneath here will help you be more comfortable in this stretch. Inner thighs and some of the hips here as well. Okay, so we're going to get the thigh now, so the front of the thigh. So lay down on your right side. Your left knee will come forward in front of you, and then we're going to take a hold of the bottom right leg. So it's the bottom leg that I'm taking a hold of. And I'm thinking about the front of the thigh. So if it's too much in the knee, you might want to not bend the knee so much. If you're not feeling anything, you probably need to move the foot back and farther away from you, and then start to move it towards the ground. And breathing into that. And then we'll do the other side. So laying on your left side, right knee comes forward, take a hold of the bottom leg. And if you need some support underneath this right leg, no problem. Go ahead and grab a pillow or a block and place it underneath there. Or you can even give yourself some support with your own hand like this. And so sometimes your back doesn't like this twisted position. So that would be when you'd want to support this leg so you're not getting too twisty in your back. Take some deep breaths. Okay. And we'll stretch your chest and your triceps, and then you'll be done. So go ahead and clasp your hands behind you, interlace them. Now you can flip them over one direction or the other and feel the fingers and the wrists stretching as well. And then you could take a little neck roll and release the neck. And then go ahead and stretch your triceps. So bend your elbow and catch your elbow with the opposite hand. And then you might lean away, and that'll get your lats a little bit as well. And switch sides and lean away. All right. So I said before, but you will hopefully figure it out on your own what you need. You can repeat all of that, again, maybe later today or right now. And, just take care of your body and do what you need for you. Have a really awesome day, you guys.